From the archives of the Library of Congress, real stories from America's forgotten past. This is Ink and Past.
The body is cold before anyone thinks to call the coroner. It is before dawn. The French Quarter lies under fog off the Mississippi. Gas lamps burn low on Bourbon Street. Somewhere above an iron balcony, a window is lit. The coroner arrives. The household is not weeping. The coroner arrived to find the household in a state of profound agitation, the kind that follows not grief but guilt. By the time the sun clears the rooftops, the neighbors already know. They stand in doorways, they whisper one word, poison. The body was discovered before dawn. By sunrise, the city already had its theories. New Orleans in 1895 was a city that kept secrets well. This one would not keep. The Mississippi moved slow in the summer of 1895. It always did. New Orleans sat at its mouth like a man who had seen too much. Yellow fever had hollowed the streets before. It would again. The city knew how to bury things, bodies, debts, reputations. Commerce was everything here. The wharves ran day and night, cotton, sugar, men with ledgers and men without them. In the French Quarter, gas lamps burned late above parlor tables spread with bills of sale. You could buy almost anything. A watchmaker guaranteed his repairs or returned your money. A surgeon on Ryan Street promised to straighten bow legs without a knife. Sewing machines were available on installment. Credit moved faster than the river. And medicine, patent medicine especially. The pharmacies stocked bottles with names that promised miracles. Little giant pills, guaranteed wonderful. But in the back pages of the weekly papers, a quieter warning circulated. Several unscrupulous dealers were allegedly substituting imitation products, and customers had little way to verify what they were purchasing. That was the city in 1895, a place built on trust between strangers. Trust in craftsmen was paramount. In a city like New Orleans, trust was the first thing that could kill you. The man had been sick for 3 weeks before his wife called for a doctor. 3 weeks. The neighbors assumed it was the heat. It wasn't the heat. His name was recorded in the parish files. His symptoms were not unusual at first. Nausea. Weakness, a heaviness in the chest that came and went. He ran a small household on the edge of the quarter. He had debts. His wife had access to the shops on Canal Street, where the druggists kept their counters stocked with powders and pills and compounds that carried no warnings and required no prescription. By the time a physician arrived, the man could not hold water. His pulse was irregular. His skin had taken on a gray cast that the doctor noted and then carefully noted again. He had been ill for 3 weeks before anyone thought to summon a physician. By then the damage was done. The doctor ordered the body held. What followed was an examination, quiet, methodical. The kind that turns a death from a tragedy into something else entirely. The compounds found were not exotic. They were sold freely, from open jars, behind the counters of a dozen apothecary shops within walking distance of the house. Patent medicine fraud was rampant. Customers in the city had little way to verify what they were purchasing or what had been put in their food. In the right preparation, certain common compounds could slow a man down over days. Make him tired, make him weak, make his heart work harder than it should until one morning it simply stopped. The household had financial pressures that the neighbors knew about and pretended not to. There was a policy. There was a name on the policy. The pills were described as wonderful, available at any druggist in the parish. No questions asked. No questions asked. The fog sat low over the cobblestones that November. The gas lamps on the back street behind the apothecary shops threw orange circles onto the wet stone. The city did not yet know what it was looking at. The coroner's inquest opened on a Tuesday morning. The room smelled of sawdust and damp wool. The gallery was already full. Investigators had begun with the household. That was where they always began, who had access to the kitchen. Who handled the medicines, who knew the cabinet beneath the sink. A name surfaced within 48 hours. Someone close, someone trusted, someone who understood what was kept on which shelf. The New Orleans papers ran the story on their front pages. The Daily Picayune reported every session. The gallery refilled each morning before the doors unlocked. The gallery was full. It had been full every day since the trial began. The prosecution moved carefully. They were not arguing a single moment of rage. They were arguing something colder, a pattern, a sequence of small decisions made over days. The coroner had noted the timing of the illness, the progression. The particular way the body had failed. These were not the marks of natural decline. Then a neighbor took the stand. She was composed. She spoke without hesitation. She had been inside the drugstore herself that morning. She had seen the accused at the counter. She remembered because the question had seemed strange. The witness stated plainly that she had seen the accused standing at the druggist's counter on the morning of the 4th, asking specifically about compounds that would dissolve without taste. The defense rose immediately. The word used was preposterous. The defense called the claim preposterous. The prosecution called it a pattern. 3 days before the victim first fell ill, the prosecution laid that fact down and left it in the air. The courtroom windows were high and narrow. The light came through cold and flat. It caught the dust suspended above the gallery. Nobody moved. The city had...
What was happening on this day, a century ago? We'll ask again tomorrow, ink and past.